Let's focus on building real momentum in your journey by eliminating cheat meals. True progress comes when you find unwavering consistency in your meals, when you stop indulging cravings and shift your mindset from short-term flavor to long-term results. Remember, it's facts over flavor. Food is a fuel. Food is a tool to nourish and energize us, not something that should control or limit us. We need to improve our relationship with taste, breaking free from being a slave to our cravings. The beautiful part, once you commit to this and you build consistent habits, those foods you once desired start to lose their power. You no longer crave what once held you back. You find yourself turning the page and moving forward with a new sense of freedom, clarity, and control. You deserve this transformation, and it begins with choosing consistency over compromise. Let's embrace that shift together, and let's create the momentum that changes everything. Coming at you live from Kaji Vision Studios in Stamford, Connecticut. Welcome to episode 7 of the Dialed In podcast.
3 away from 10. 3 away from 10.
Good math.
Good math.
I like that we're clapping for ourselves. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Like the scrub basketball player who gets in late in the game and makes a shot. He makes like an ugly runner off the wrong foot, and he does like that awkward clap to himself.
You see that? You see a lot of that type of content.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I get a lot of blowouts,
Yeah.
but it's not even like the intense player who made a bucket who's like clapping because he's ready to clamp up on defense. He was just like shocked he made it and he's clapping for himself. That's what we're doing here. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you feeling?
I feel so blessed.
Feeling a little sore?
I feel a little sore from yesterday's workout.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a cardio day. You had me do 8 sets of sprinting on the treadmill at a 9% incline at a 9 speed.
Yep.
I didn't get to 40 seconds. I kind of cut it out after about 25 to 30. But
That doesn't matter. I was just trying to get you to hit that max heart rate.
and then you had me doing 8 sets of hamstring stretches. I thought that was a little much initially, but
It's a lot.
I got to push past my limits. So I never thought of doing like 8 sets of stretches. So getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, it can be aggressive stretching like that, especially with the loaded stretching. But that's how I see a lot of gymnasts. That's why they bend the way that they bend. The same intensity that you put into doing your strength routine.
Yeah.
You got to like start doing that a little bit with stretching. For you to get the improvement that you're aiming for, like the improvement that you're aiming for with your body and your strength, you got to treat it the same way with stretching. So that's an aggressive way, but your hamstrings are more than conditioned enough at this point to kind of tolerate what I was asking you to do. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel it, but you can tolerate it. Someone else wouldn't be able to tolerate that. Yeah.
You're the first person to introduce me to like weighted stretches.
Yeah.
So this was a hamstring stretch where I stand on 2 blocks just to elevate myself so I could go all the way down with the kettlebell as low as I can go. So I did that for 10 reps, 8 sets. So my hammies are sore today.
We call them Jefferson curls.
Jefferson curls.
J curls. Yep.
J curls.
Very,
Yep.
very good. Yeah, you're trying to work your spine, articulate your spine, and really load your hammies up. When I first started doing that, the person who was helping me with it, he was very involved with like kind of like Circus Olay type training, and those guys there's no, oh, this is kind of hard, and no, it's like full on, straight to the point, aggressive strength, handstands, balancing, stretching. It's vigorous. And he introduced me to Jefferson curls. He was definitely a little too aggressive with what I was doing because I was holding what you were holding yesterday, but heavier, and I had 2 kettlebells pulling me down. I like torqued my hammies all up, but I would say within a month, my forearms were touching the ground easy if I reached down to the ground. So you're trying to really just find that balance of aggressively stretching if, you have good hamstring strength.
I definitely feel the improvement in flexibility with a lot of the stretches I do on your routine or on your program. Like my hammies feel super strong today, but even my wrists the other day, I know we were working on the muscle up. You were telling me how my lack of wrist strength is what stopped me from doing the muscle up. So we were doing some really uncomfortable
Yeah.
wrist stretches. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do not enjoy that at all.
It's hard.
But I will say the next day, like I'm feeling more bendy and just more strength and depth within my wrist like range.
It's good. That's what we were talking about. It's good with training, aiming for skills like that, like, muscle up. Maybe it's a handstand. I don't know. Because they require you can't bullshit them. Like maybe your back's really strong to do a chin up, and then maybe like your chest is strong and your triceps strong enough to do a dip. But with the skill, like the muscle up, you see how you had one little chink in your armor, and you wouldn't think that this is going to stop me from doing this skill. I'm very strong. I'm conditioned. My mobility is good. Why can't I do this? Like just because your wrist is not ready to torque in that way, you can't do the full pattern. So that's really the last thing we got to work on with you for the muscle up. Everything else is on point that you're doing. But yeah, that's why it's good aiming at a skill.
And that was a really interesting ring stretch we did where I put my hands through the ring and grabbed a lacrosse ball, and I was literally holding the lacrosse ball against the ring, which was stretching the wrist out. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, because you're really trying to essentially do that. You're trying to hold the ring like on your wrist, but you have to squeeze the ring. So that's a good drill that I've been introduced to mimic that pattern in a way without doing the whole motion and like really torquing your wrist up. So, and it doesn't need to be black or white. You see, I was like, if you got to keep your feet down a little bit, like use the floor to help you, use it. But you just got to keep inching towards getting your feet off the ground. But that's a good way. And everyone has wrist stuff going on from typing all day, not really using their hands for strength, being on their phones all day. So, working the wrists is it's a lot more important than people think. The wrists and the hips and the ankles. Yeah.
I feel strong in my fingers, and I do this a lot every day. Like I try to stretch out my fingers as far as I can.
Yeah, you should.
I do weird type movements throughout the day because I'm feeling just more end range, and I like flexing a lot.
You want to be just like a cat.
Squeezing and like extending.
You ever watch a cat?
I don't love cats, but I see how they get down.
The more you do the moving that you're doing and like watch them now. Like if you're around the cat, just watch what they're doing. Fluid. Yeah, just watch the things that they're doing and how frequently they're doing them. The way they walk, but watch when they like get up and what they do when they stretch. And they're doing that constantly all day. And they're just like stretching everything because they just want to stretch and then move about their day, but they just keep doing it. It's cool to see because it's like I kind of do that intuitively. Like my back, I'm just like reaching to the ground. I'll sit in a deep squat. I've sat in deep squats in grocery stores.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I should have took a video. You would have been so proud of me. I was playing on the couch with the kids, but I had my legs all the way up over the couch, and then I rolled down so my feet were on the floor, then went back on the couch this way, and my legs went up, extended. Down, boom, up. Extend, down. And I'm like, this is an incredible move right here. Yeah. Working my obliques, working my abs, and I'm playing with the kids. Like, I'm checking multiple boxes right now.
That's why you want to, like, aim at moving more and not just, like, I only move when I go to the gym. Because it should be, like, lifestyle stuff like that. Like, picking your kids up, doing weird stuff like that with them, and not getting hurt. That's really it,
And they're in that phase now. Nico wants to wrestle and play. And I was telling my wife yesterday, I want to get like a mat for the floor. So instead of, because I sit on the couch and I'm just out. It's like a bed to me. Yeah. Immediately. Yeah. It tells my body, okay, he's ready for sleep. Put him down. So I want to just start stretching on the floor more and like moving around. So
yeah, you got to get the wrestle mats. Put them down. Yeah.
I know we recently took my body fat percentage. I took it like a month ago. It said 5.9. I don't think that was accurate, but recently, this week, it said 7.2. So
yeah, it can depending on the time of day, where you're at, your water, before a workout, after a workout, there could be a lot of variance in those. You did do it on a pretty good one, like that's really as good as it's going to get, besides the bod pod or the DEXA scan. But those are you're not gonna see that really anywhere.
I was fasted. Does that impact?
Yeah, but it's just like time of day too. It's like, yeah, you're fasted, but you probably were drinking water all day, right?
All day.
Yeah, so you're drinking water, then you put sodium in your water usually.
All day.
Yeah, so you're just like you're holding more water.
So you think it was higher or lower? You think
What?
7.2 is accurate?
I think you're at around 7.5. That's where I think you are. I don't think you're when you start getting lower, like really. I mean, I'm talking about every time you get on that thing, it's like 5.8, 5.9, 5.8, 5.5. You're as lean. You're cutting. You're pushing it.
Can I go there?
You can. It's just a lot easier that when you're working out and you start running out of energy, it's like you'll see they'll recommend athletes who are performing longer than 90 minutes. They should not be that lean because they're going to run out of carbohydrates eventually, and their body's going to want fat to now help. And if you're too lean, your body's like, well, I'm entering too low body fat. I shouldn't be burning anything. And now your body's like fighting with like, well, do I use fat or do I try and keep it? And you're trying to use energy to perform. That's when you'll start to like crash. You're never going to see an athlete like Roger Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, what's his name? Alcatraz. You're not going to see those guys be 5% body fat, 6% body fat.
Legends.
Yeah, you can't. You will eventually crash when you run out of carbohydrates, the glycogen. So you just want to play. You got to see how you feel. You have to pay attention how you feel during workouts. So it's all up to you.
Yeah. I feel like my philosophy is, or my strategy is like, I'm just trying to erase all of the fat that's been put on my body due to ultra processed foods and just years of bad eating.
Yep.
And it's like I figured out how to erase it all, and I'm going to eliminate it all and then rebuild it back up.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do. Like I did that. I went through when I was bodybuilding. Like everything was like, how lean can I be? How lean can I be? And I used to get in the bod pod at school, and every time I got in that thing,
Can we call this the bod pod?
Yeah, we can call this the bod pod. Yeah, I like that. But I got into that like. All my focus is being on that, like everything I was eating, and then as time goes on, I started doing the movement method more. You should be eating to enhance how well can I continue to keep doing this like longer. So that's when you start realizing like I shouldn't be like shying away from, being 7% or 8% body fat. Like anything under 11 is pretty optimal. And then it just depends on the type of training that you're doing. You should be changing that body fat percentage so you have more maybe long-term fat energy available.
I don't have like a historical perspective of my body fat percentage like I do with my weight, where I can say, oh yeah, in 2007, this is what I weighed.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it was probably 30% at one point.
Yeah.
And even when I started with you, I mean, I don't know what it was, 15, 14, I don't know. So
yeah, when you started, I mean, it's probably like anywhere between like 15 and 17, maybe 18. Yeah. I don't know, because it like I think you went through like yo-yoing. Sometimes you'd be a little like up more. I feel like I don't like I guess because that picture of your transformation, I actually saw you in comparison with your shirt off. That just when you were like coming to my gym and I don't know, I couldn't see you really like with your shirt off all the time. But that picture I feel like is the biggest like difference. I feel like that picture that you had of that was, I don't know, one of the most, I don't want to say worst, but in terms of your aesthetic of how you were training, so I don't know what you looked like before that. You know what I mean? I only see your arms usually when you're in the gym. Yeah. I see this in your face.
Well, that after picture that you're looking at, I'm going to make that my before picture.
Yeah, that's basically your before picture.
Because I'm going, we're 12 weeks deeper into the dialing. We started this November, right? It's been 12 straight weeks more of everything that we've been preaching.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the deepest of waters right now.
Yeah.
Like you go for a long time just sticking your feet 7 feet down, 8 feet. You get to your biggest limit, 10 feet. Whoa. Then you're back to 7 and 6.
Yep.
Now it's like once you go past 10, it's 11, 12. Now I'm at 100 feet down, and there's so much more to go.
Did you really felt before you did all this that like you couldn't be that lean?
I never thought I would get in this type of shape.
Yeah.
I did not. No.
Did
Because
you think you visually could get into that type of shape? Because that's the thing. Like you were in shape.
I underestimated the importance of clean eating.
Yeah.
It was never on my
Yeah.
radar. So I'm just throwing a rock at a wall. And like you said, yo-yo and back and forth, and never having a complete and clear vision of how to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And then once that gets unlocked, it gets easier and easier.
So you're feeling good.
Yeah, I feel good. And you're adding more carbs to me, because I know I've been doing a lot of mostly low carbs, just carbs from fruit. So today's my carb day. I had cereal this morning. By the way, it's a clean cereal, 3 wishes, 8 ingredients.
Nice.
And then I had organic oatmeal. Threw a little cinnamon in there.
Yeah, you just want to reload that.
Flaxseed.
Like you're what do you weigh?
A 175.
So you're close to me. You probably hold like 430 grams, maybe a little more, of glycogen. So you can do this easier because of what you're doing, meaning like the way that you're working out and your diet throughout the week. I know your glycogen, like your gas tank in your car, has like no gas in it. It's low. So I have the luxury of being able to tell you, like, reload, because I know like you're emptied out and low. So it's just performance. It's just like now on Sunday, you're going to reload. Even pay attention to how you look tomorrow morning, maybe, or tonight if you want. Like, you're probably going to look.
You think?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. You have intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid, like in your muscle. The intra is like your muscle. The extracellular, that's more of like your skin. So if you can kind of like lower your carb intake, you kind of get like, you're a little like deflated in a way. Like a bodybuilder that's stepping on stage that wants to look insane.
They carb up, right?
They deplete everything, water, carbs, and then 12 hours before they go on stage, I mean, they're eating like cheeseburgers, pizza. They're basically just trying to like flash carbs going right back into their muscle, and it pops them out, and their skin is still dehydrated, and that's that look that they like go for. But
you did that too?
What?
You did that too before?
I never did it competitively, but I tried mimicking it like when I was doing the bodybuilding at college. So I tried doing that like peak week thing.
Mark's got no competitiveness, Claudio.
Yeah, no competitiveness. No, I always I was hitting that point where I was like, I'm young, I'm obviously like bodybuilding like crazy. Like I had it in my head, like I should do it once. I just want to see like how I can, get it to, like how I can look. But I never did. But yeah, that's what you're aiming for. Like on this Sunday, you're just trying to like refuel all of your muscle maximally, because you're going to go back to doing what you've been doing with your diet, like in terms of the fasting window.
Correct.
and then your window of time of eating. So I know it's going to continue to lower from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday. And I think this is going to help you enhance the windows where you possibly are going to put muscle on in areas that you're trying to work on. I think your area that you should be working on at this point now is like a little bit more in your legs, because your upper body's insane, and your lower back. I think your lower back is like the next thing to pay attention to.
It's a little tight, right?
Yeah, it's tight. It's just, I can see. So what I look at is I look at your aesthetic everywhere.
I'm going to turn the heat on. Keep talking.
Yeah, cool. I look at your aesthetic everywhere of how you're training, like your shoulders, your pec, your arms, your abs, your obliques, your back.
I got about 13 visible abs nowadays too.
No, yeah,
one side's better than the other. That's why it's an odd number.
Your muscle everywhere is awesome. So I know that like you're doing what you need to be doing. Your lower back does not have the same muscle mass as what I see everywhere else. It's just a good thing to see, because I know like, all right, he's obviously putting muscle on, keeping his muscle.
God bless you, Claudio.
God bless.
No worries.
I'm seeing good things everywhere. So when I see good things everywhere, and I see it's it's not matching the same aesthetic in that spot. It just means that you're probably like you're not using and activating that muscle the way that you think that you are. Like you want your lower back to look like two steel cords. Like if you're like flexing it, you should be able to eat your cereal out of your lower back. Like it should be like a divot. So I think that's the next area for you, because I don't think there's many more places with your lifestyle of like how you're eating and the training. You're not gonna, unless you start going into a crazy caloric surplus, you're not really gonna put like a crazy amount of muscle. You're as outstanding as it gets in your upper body.
We have way more work to do, Mark.
No, yeah,
We're not stopping here.
But it's just that you're as outstanding as you can do. Like everything that you're doing, I'd be like, are you at a 10 out of 10 in terms of effort on this? And your aesthetic, you adding muscle, you're not losing muscle, you're doing everything like perfect.
Let's transition to Catching the Buzz, our segment where we shout out some people in our community that are catching the dialed in buzz and starting to transform their life. Big shout out to Alexia, and I don't mean my daughter, but let's shout out Alexia Diaspera.
Shout out Lexi.
I think it's a pretty unique name. So the fact that there's two Alexias in our community, but you train Alexia. What's her last name? Dia Demizio?
No, what is it?
Ionetta?
No.
She's Italian, no?
Yeah. She is. Yeah. Yeah, she's doing really good. She had some like good progress. She sends me like, pictures here and there of like what she's eating. She's writing her stuff down. She's just been naturally like, all right, exercising day by day, even if it's a little bit, even if it's walking incline on the treadmill, trying to get like, a sweat going, doing infrared sauna. She's just becoming more aware of these things. And I'm really happy for her because this relates to a lot of, I think, women and, young women. I think women deal with this stuff a lot more. And I just want to say, I just find that people are going through this stuff and they don't get the support system that they need to like be healthier. And I just think a lot of, whether it's women or, men, I think a lot of people are going through these things, like dealing with I want to be healthier. I want to be in better shape. And they're like actually trying. And like the support system is just not there. Like it just really isn't. Like they're not, like people are minimizing it and
absolutely.
And I just think people are going through things, dealing with this stuff, and they're bottling it up because they're not feeling heard with, I'm frustrated with where I'm at with my health. And it's like if you go to your parent and be like, I'm struggling really bad in this math content, like, can you help me like get a tutor? They're like, yeah, great, let's get a tutor. But when it comes to the health stuff, it's just not the same thing. It's just not.
You think it's people's insecurities or lack of knowledge on their end, and the fact that because the super healthy person has always been looked at as like a freak.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think it's this. We're in this age right now. It's just very. A lot of people aren't doing that, so it's when they start hearing that person like, this is what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to pay attention to this. It starts affecting them a little bit because like maybe they live together and they're in the same house, and it's like, no, I'm eating this tonight. Like this is what I want to eat. Like I'm eating this clean meal that I, was planning about all day, and everyone else is eating this, and then everyone starts like, oh, you're being a little ridiculous. You know what I mean? And maybe they are, but maybe they aren't. And maybe what I'm saying is people are going through stuff and they're trying to feel better. Because obviously people do not feel better when they're doing that. Like they're like, I want to feel better. I don't want to feel like this when I wake up. I don't want to feel like I can't concentrate when I'm studying. I don't want to feel groggy when I wake up before my exam, So, I just want to say, it takes a lot of effort doing what she's been doing, trying to even change the littlest of habits. So, I'm really proud that she's, making those changes for herself. And she saw some like really good progress for over a 3 or 4 week span. So I just told her, like, hold on to that happiness that you feel about that and just keep that momentum. Yeah.
Can I chime in on this one
Absolutely.
for a minute? This is going to be my field of expertise.
Yep.
So it's hard, man. It's really hard. I think to answer your question, it's not only a hard thing to transition from, But what's the hard part is the consistency factor, right? I think anybody can make the change for a period of time, whether it's a week, a month, even a year. And then beyond that, it's just consistency, right? And that's what makes it so difficult. And you're literally fighting, you're trying to climb up a hill that has an avalanche coming down. There's everyone around you, everything around you. It doesn't make it easy. And on top of that, you have, even in your inner circles, like you're trying to be very robotic, and then something will throw you off, whether it's a parent, whether it's a best friend, whether it's your spouse, whether it's whatever. And eventually, I think that's what ends up happening. People just, when there's not a coach on top of you 24/7, those windows kind of start appearing, and unless you become robotic, it kind of tends to take over a little bit. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's and I tell her, I'm like, listen, you're studying to become a lawyer. Like, this is hard stuff for you. It's very stressful. I remember what it was like studying, and what you're studying is probably 10 times more than what I was studying when I was like going to school. So there's just a lot of things going on, kind of against what you're trying to do. There's a lot of variables that you can't control, and some of those variables like are the support system. So,
and you're essentially trying to break a habit that you've not even innately you've kind of formed, whether it was your upbringing, whether it was how you chose to kind of. But you're talking about probably I'm not going to talk about ages, but anywhere from 25 years and up in the length of that poor habit, whatever that may be. And even if you just go backwards, like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, the knowledge that we have today was not the same back then. So it wasn't even like you could have adjusted it, It was.
No, it's kind of the whole argument on, populations in low income areas. You know what I mean? Like, they're not getting the same availability of things. They're not even hearing like what we're talking about right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're not. Maybe some kid doesn't have a phone to watch podcasts on.
And let's say though that even if they did, right? Because this is the reality. You go to maybe a different neighborhood, and you have options, right? And your options are maybe the Chinese food spot, maybe it's McDonald's, maybe it's the fast food joint, maybe it's the bodega, maybe it's the deli that just. And they're just, maybe it may not be terrible. In your head, you may be like, oh, well, I don't want to do too much carbs, so I'm going to go get some salad. And I'm going to douse it in
I'm going to go to Panera Bread.
Right.
Because it's better.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So, and that may be cheaper. So maybe more cost effective to that person versus, hey, I understand what I'm learning, and I'm going to go source out clean food, and where am I going to get this? That's right. So that's the availability. Where is it? And then how much does it cost versus, what going to 99 cent menu would cost. So it's all those things. So it's it is just I just always want people to know that, like, it's not, there's some people who I can, like, depending on where they're at in their life, I can be, especially if they give me that impression that they want to, like, just everything I need to do, tell me what I need to do, and, like, I'm going to do it. And I can be full steam ahead, push them, like, no, this is what you have to do. But it's not, it's a lot. I want people to understand that I understand that it's very difficult, and I understand how hard it can be depending on where you're at and what you're doing in your life. So if it's one step at a time, and those steps are slow and they're half steps, that's more than fine. As long as it's just even an inch, that's fine. So just think people need to, what we were talking about, be nicer to themselves, be patient. Don't rush, you know what I mean? Because this is, this has to work for you, So, but yeah, I'm very proud of,
Great job,
that
Alexia.
progress.
Yeah.
Great job.
And everybody needs a support system. Imagine everybody had a community of dialed in people around them, how much better they would be.
Yep.
So when Alexia was talking to me yesterday on the treadmill, it seemed like she started her journey right around January 1st when we launched, and she's been really enjoying the clips we've been putting out. So it's like, I told her, I said, I love that we could be like your support system here as you are trying to pursue this for yourself and find that breakthrough for yourself, to be getting fed this information from a local source.
Yep.
And for her to see us doing it every day and living it, I love that. Love that. So great job there. And it's about also being unwavering within yourself, and not forcing people. Like, we should never pressure people what they should put in their body.
Yeah.
So like with relatives and family and friends, that era of being offended if somebody doesn't eat your food or eat your meal, for me, that stopped, a while back. And I've had a couple experiences through the holidays, and that was new to me there, and I'll grow through that. But
Yeah.
you just got to be unwavering, and you're your own boss. Your body is your temple. You have full permission to put in your body whatever you want. And when you go down the dialed in path, like we're going, you would hope that your family would support that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to also, what you talk about a lot. It's how you communicate that back
Correct.
to people too.
Correct.
Me being like aggressive and nasty and be like, well, this is how I want to eat, and I don't need to, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't feeling what really, what you're trying to maybe do, because you're communicating it the wrong way. You kind of sound like an ass.
Well,
you
it
know
gets
what I mean?
into like respectful disagreement.
Yeah.
We could disagree. You could do your thing. I'll do my thing. And we could both discuss it and have a civil conversation. And it's all good. It's not like we're drawing a line and we have two oppositional.
And I think, you mentioned this before, when I've talked to you about things, you're like, you don't need to convince me. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't sell me this idea. Like, don't convince me. Just tell me.
Yeah.
And I think we get too much into that too. Like, I'm guilty of that.
It's not a fun game to
like,
play,
I'm trying
bro.
to convince.
It's not a fun game.
And I'm just so past that now. Like, I don't need to convince, you know what I mean? I don't need to, like, this is just what I do. And like, it doesn't need to be abrasive. I don't need to prove a point. I don't need to, I'm just controlling what I do.
My custodian came in the gym yesterday. He thought I like one of the after school coaches left equipment in the gym, and he came in and saw me using the equipment. And he thought it was the after school coaches. So he looked at me with doubt and skepticism. He goes, you took it. You did it.
Yeah.
And he asked me a question, but he put it inside the framework of me having to respond to defend myself or say, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
And I just said, I really don't like entering this doubtful conversation that you have.
Yeah.
I said, Carlos, I want you to trust me. If I tell you I did something, like, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I'm not even entering that.
Yeah.
So I had no impulses to be like, no, Carlos, I swear to God. No,
Yeah.
I don't even play that game.
Yeah.
Shout out Carlos. I love Carlos.
Shout out
But listen,
Carlos.
the truth always wins.
Yeah.
So if you're out here not speaking the truth or you're being dishonest about things, full transparency. I have nothing to hide. I speak the truth.
Yeah.
I want to share just a quick story, and it kind of touches on Claudio being challenging and like the flavor aspect and wanting to indulge in delicious food. I remember I used to get a lot of impulses. I see somebody else eating something. I think of an event, or what am I going to do Saturday? We're going to watch a movie. What are the food I want to couple it with? You think about that, and then immediately it's like, yes, that's what I'm doing. Yesterday, I'm driving by. I see two cops eating a delicious slice of pizza outside the pizzeria. I looked at it. It hit me, and then immediately no interest. And I just remember there's been so many times where I would look at that pizza, see them enjoying it, and then boom, we're getting pizza tonight.
Yeah.
Done deal. It's already done.
I'm like that when I see pizza. I love pizza.
And yet, I know, it's delicious.
Yeah.
But yesterday was the first day I'm like, I felt something chemically different in my body, that desire, that want, gone.
Yeah, I'm like that with a lot of things. I'm not like that. Well, I am like that with pizza. I just have to know that it's I know how I feel when I eat at certain places, but I will say it is hard to find like a good place of getting quality pizza. I'd say it is. It's definitely not easy, but I don't feel. I mean, I don't have a gluten problem, so this isn't really a problem for me. Some people do, so this would be more of a problem. But if I go to a good place and get a slice, I don't feel negative. Me personally, I don't feel negative in that way. The way I'd feel if I had a 20-piece from McDonald's and a double cheeseburger.
Yeah, I mean, that's fried in seed oil and way more ingredients.
Yeah.
Pizza's somewhat, it's not the worst.
I feel pretty wrecked, but with a slice, depending on the place.
Now you talk about one slice. When I have pizza,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
having
not
four minimum.
Yeah, I'm not-
four
I'm not-
minimum. One time I ate 8 slices, and guess what? Fun fact, you were there.
When?
when we were cleaning the floors at that corporate center.
Yes. Was it a corporate center?
It was me,
or
you,
was it a
Tyler, and
hospital?
Mario.
Or was it what corporate center?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
you were there. We ordered pizza. I had 8 whole slices.
We were waxing. 4
Legit.
coats
I'm
a
not talking
night.
about Domino's
Yeah.
slices.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a franchise pizza.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Wow.
Very large appetite
Yeah.
prior to this transformation.
I used to, like my metabolism was, and it's cool because I understand now. I was that book that I was reading, Burn, and it was talking about like your caloric expenditure difference when you're still developing, growing up, and that could be till like you're 21, 22, 23. It all depends on like when puberty starts for you, right? And they were talking about like per pound of body weight. So like Lexi, she's burning like 35 calories per pound of body weight. So it's not a crazy amount because she's smaller than, you, right? But for her, like her body ratio, 35 calories per pound of body weight in comparison to you and me, we're only at like anywhere between 15 to 18. So her expenditure for her weight is double what yours and mine is. And it just makes me think back to when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21. Dude, I could not go an hour and a half, 2 hours without eating again. It was insane. And compared to now, I've learned that, and I understand the frustration that people go through now when they're in their 30s, 35, 40s, 45s. You do have to be sharper with your caloric intake. You cannot get away with what you got away with when you were younger because you're way more active. Maybe you're playing sports too. And naturally, your body's burning almost double the amount of calories per pound of body weight. It's like crazy. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like looking at my daughter. I'm like, no, she needs fuel. She needs fuel. She's burning. She's burning. She's burning. So I'm just like trying to fuel her up all the time. And she just doesn't stop moving all day. It's crazy.
I know you're telling me about that. She's active.
Dude, it's insane. I'm like, when you really think of it, I'm like, it's basically like could I do what she's doing? Like get up, drink, eat my breakfast, have a bottle and then until, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., I am just literally going to not stop moving. I'm just going to grab things, climb on things, get down, sit in a deep squat, stand back up, walk around. And it's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable.
So just to cap off that, for everybody listening, we all feel those impulses, right? Food impulses. Impede those impulses. Start to reframe, start to rewire. When it hits you, just take it to a more productive place instead of settling back into the indulgence. Facts over flavor.
So you can catch the buzz.
That's right.
That's where.
So we can shout you out.
Yeah. So we can shout you out.
And we want to hear your story too.
Yep.
If you're starting to catch the buzz, if you're seeing some progress, if you're struggling, like reach out. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. You were just saying you couldn't go 2 hours without eating, and I wanted to get to this on the podcast this week. Humans can go 60 days without food. A healthy human, if they do it correctly and they stay hydrated and they have minerals, potassium, sodium, all that stuff. It's possible. 2 months.
I gotta fact check you on that one.
I just looked it up this week. That's what we grew up to, 30 days, but humans have evolved since then. Most succumb to it after 3 weeks, but that's because they're not hydrated.
Yeah,
somebody just did 40 days on TikTok, so it's
it all depends on the person.
Okay, yeah, correct.
Like you and me are lean.
I'm giving you
and me are going in 3 weeks. We're dead.
I'm not giving you the average human. I'm saying it's possible for a human.
No, but this is what. No, like to your point, Claudia. Right? I was just talking about my brother with this. Like that's a great thing. What you just said. Like when we like our body fat's the same, and the next person's a little higher, the next person's a little higher. In the case of, because this is how your brain thinks, of survival, me and Paul on Survivor, and we don't have food the way that we're normally used to having food and the way that we have it where we're at, our body is going to deteriorate very, very, very fast because we do not have a lot of long-term energy stored away. And this is what your brain is going through. Your brain does not give a shit about what your body fat, what you want your body fat to be. It doesn't care that you have a tennis match. It doesn't care that I want to look like this influencer that I'm watching. It doesn't care. It thinks solely on survival. So in that, to your point, like that's what it comes down to. So that's what I'm saying to what you said. It depends on the person. Me, I'm withering away in a week and a half. I'm not lasting.
Correct. The reason why I say that is because you can essentially go 60 days without food in your mouth. Let's say 1 month, okay?
Yeah, but don't.
But can you go?
Yeah,
Can
but
you go
don't
5 hours without it?
Well, oh yeah,
That's my
absolutely.
thing.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
hold off for
Yes.
5 hours if we can hold off
Yes,
for a month.
I see what you're getting.
So
at.
start to have that type of.
Just
so
disclaimer.
it took us a long
just
time to get
disclaimer,
here.
No one. I mean, absolutely no one. Go 30 to 60 days without eating any food, please.
I wasn't
Do
trying to
not-
have a debate.
Do
about
not
that.
do that. Yeah.
I was just saying. I think you can manage the next 5 hours without food if your body can go this long. So just having that perspective, like stop complaining you haven't eaten in 2 hours. Come on.
No, listen, it's a hormonal thing. You're talking about someone that I did this with my someone I'm working with right now. Shout out to him again. He hit his goal of getting to 12%.
You didn't shout him though.
I don't want to put him.
Call him Frank.
Shout out to Frank.
Frank the Tank.
Frank's back. Frank's on fire.
Not Frank's hot sauce, by the way. Just to clarify, one of Frank's hot sauces is quote unquote clean. However, he has 10.
All the
of
other
them.
variations are not clean. Yeah.
The wings you eat
original.
at the bar are not clean. Okay,
The original is clean. Yeah.
the original, but you're not using that for your wings.
Yeah. I think I spoke about this before. I asked him to. I said, because I could just see his personality between the eating. You know, he's eating perfect, but of like that. Like I'm trying to extend his window of time where his body is working off of what he has stored, rather than when you eat food, that's kind of what you're doing. You're like, well, my blood sugar's getting low. I need to eat again so I can elevate it. If you don't eat, your body's going to create homeostasis and do something to regulate your like your mood and your blood sugar. So what you're getting at is you want people to go through and feel that actual process rather than kind of coddle their blood sugar in a way, which is what we all do. So I told him and asked him, you need to do a fast, because I just want you to acknowledge and see that you're a lot more habitually addicted to regulating your blood sugar. And if you continue to add food in to do that, you're never going to really most likely burn off what we're trying to get you to burn off. So I just want you to see that you're addicted more than you think to doing that. So he did a fast, and you see very quickly after that 2.5, 3.5 hours how moody you're gonna get, because your body has absolutely no memory of, oh, I don't have anything. You're not giving me anything. Let me go into the basement and see what I can find and burn that energy off, so maybe I can raise my blood sugar back up. Maybe it's gonna grab some muscle. Maybe it's going to grab fat, or maybe it's going to grab some glycogen that you have stored in your muscle or your liver, right? So to your point, I understand what you're saying. That's really what it's about. It's getting your body, and that's what you're doing with your fasting. You're teaching your body, and I see a lot of fighters do this who train MMA, boxing. They don't like training with like any food in their system, and their perspective is that I want my body to know how to run off of what it has, rather than I'm constantly like, I'm going to eat overnight oats in the morning with protein. I want to get these extra 500 calories in before my routine. They're trying to train at a level of, does my body know how to operate on a high level without coddling your blood sugar and giving it nutrition? I ran into that problem. I could not do anything. I couldn't do a muscle up routine unless I'm like, no, I got to get up. I got to get 100 grams of carbs in. And then in like 2.5 hours, I'm going to get another 150 grams of carbs in. And I'm just going to keep doing that. So I know I have all this energy stored away so I can do this routine. And it like literally was like affecting my mind. Now I'm different. Now I'm like, sometimes I have to know how to do things without being like coddling my blood sugar. So I get what you're saying.
Thank you for getting me. Do you understand? I feel like you understand me.
I'm the filter. I'm the it's communication. That's all it is, dude. It's communication. It's being able to make sure we're communicating. Because someone might have just been like, I'm going to not eat for 40. I'm going to try to not eat for 30 days. No one do that.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast. Just wanted to thank you for being here and joining us on this journey. The fact that you're here shows your commitment to your own transformation, and that's something you should celebrate. We're here to help you every step of the way, and we want to hear from you. So if you have questions or thoughts or breakthroughs that you want to share, reach out to us directly at the dialedinpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on any one of your socials. Now, let's get back to the podcast. But if you're here trying to go on this weight loss journey and you haven't fasted, I mean, I highly recommend tapping into that. And fasting, I look at as like a muscle. When I first started, my muscle was weak. I didn't have stamina. Couldn't go long periods of time. I've noticed such an improvement to where now it's so easy to fast, and the benefits and the level of focus and the energy. And
you were coddling that your body only knew how to use carbohydrates for energy because you kept feeding it that in order to prevent like, oh, I'm hungry and this and that, right? But because you're doing what you're doing, your body now has extended period of time of exposure. It has memory now. It's like it's learning. But because you're doing it so consistent, it's not just doing it for one day. You're doing it every day. So your body knows exactly how to. Oh,
5 days a week.
Yeah, I don't really have carbohydrates. So what else can I use? And it right away it knows how to. I'm gonna use fat for energy, and that's when you start to kind of like feel clearer long term. You're not crashing as much because your body knows how to use fat. A lot of people, what they're going through, they only know how to use carbohydrates. So when they're like their blood sugar's down, they have no exposure to that the other energy system because they're not exercising, they're not jogging. So when I'm like the routine yesterday, if you were low on carbs, you doing cardio like that, you're just doing the fat burning thing, what you're doing with your fasting in a way, but it's enhanced because your heart rate is a little bit more elevated. Like your heart rate really got high, but then it like came down. So your average heart rate during that routine was probably like 135 beats per minute, 140 maybe. So rather than when you're fasting, your average heart rate is like 105, 100. So you're burning fat, but it's going to be slower than the 140 beats per minute. That's what you're trying to get at. So your body knows how to do that now. A lot of people have no memory when their body needs something else. How do I even burn fat? Like their body does not know how to do it. And that's what you're trying to do with what you're doing. Yeah.
should we talk about your fake fasting yesterday?
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've spoken to people lately, and two people actually, where they're so convinced they're fasting, and I love to hear it. So I'm like, all right, tell me about it. And then they're ingesting calories, whether it's honey, whether it's cream. Oh, I have an apple in the morning. I'm just like, that's great. It's low calories. You're at a calorie deficit. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. You're dialed in, but I don't want you to think you're receiving the benefits of intermittent fasting. So yesterday, when you said hey, I'm fasting, I said, okay, why is your drink red? What do you have in there? Mm-hmm. And you said cranberry juice, a little bit. What do you think? 30, 40 calories worth? 20 calories?
Possibly not even.
Okay.
I'd say 40 to just.
And I know.
Which would be 10 grams of sugar.
And I know you mentioned there's a lot of types of fasting, so we have to get specific. I was referring to intermittent, like water fasting. I water fast.
Like that's different.
0
what
calorie.
They ate something, so they're chewing on like an apple. They're chewing on it. That's much different. Your body's like, it's gonna take time to like get to that apple, break it down. Like it's more calories than you drinking something that is liquid. For example, is there a difference between you having 20 grams of steak versus you having 20 grams of a whey protein shake? There's a difference. There's a huge difference because you're chewing on it. It's totally different. especially waking up, say they stopped eating at 7 p.m. and then they wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and they eat an apple. You're trying to extend that period of you have nothing really hitting your blood sugar. Now, the thing what I was trying to explain to you is, and I think you should do this so you can see, to start kind of harnessing and taking energy when you want, you should put a glucose monitor on your arm and you'll have the app on your phone, and you should start seeing what happens when you eat 20 calories of something, 100 calories of something, or 400 calories of something. Like, if you want to be as optimal as possible of knowing what is happening to your blood sugar when you're consuming liquid calories, say of 10 grams of cranberry, or eating 10 grams of actual cranberries, right? There is no bullshit with that glucose monitor. You're going to see what is happening to your blood sugar when you consume anything. From my experience with my metabolism, I didn't eat since 9 p.m., 8:45 p.m. the day before. With my metabolism, you know, I also know like where my glycogen's at from the eating the past 4, days of what I ate. 9 p.m. to I'm getting up. I was up at like 6 a.m. I had a coffee with a splash of the milk that I put in it. Maybe I'm going to highball it. I'm just going to say it's 100 calories, even though it's no way that it is. It was a splash of milk. The 100 calories from that, and I'm up at 6 o'clock. Like, I'm moving. I'm also seeing a client. I'm picking weights up. I'm picking kettlebells up. I'm showing, what move am I doing? Here's what the chin up looks like. Here's what the one arm pull looks like. I'm burning calories. I burn about 16 naturally, 16 if I don't exercise and do nothing else. I burn anywhere between 1,600 and 1,800 calories a day. So if you divide that by the 24 hours, it's like per hour, I'm probably burning like, what is that?
Don't ask me.
80 calories, right? Per hour, 100 calories per hour. You multiply that. Yeah. I'm probably burning like 60 to 80 calories every hour. Resting. I'm not resting. I'm moving around. When you're fasting, what you're trying to do is make sure that your blood sugar is not like getting activated again, like elevating, and then insulin goes off, and now you're storing energy away because you're not going to burn fat or like learn how to use fat. You're not going to ask your cells. That's kind of what autophagy is about. You're trying to ask your cells to not have anything to kill dead cells and, stuff like that. Like, that's really what that's getting at. So me, from 6 a.m. to 12, when we were talking, I had 140 calories. That was incinerated so fast, hour upon hour, that's what a liquid fast, that's what it is. I was in a fasted state. Like, my body still, my body zipped through those 140 calories so fast because it was also spaced out. I didn't have 140 calories in one drink. Mm-hmm. That the 40 calories in my cranberry, in my water. Shout out to my
big bottle. It's a safety hazard, but
yeah.
Keep going.
It is I will say it is a safety hazard. Yeah. It's in my car. Sometimes I hit the brakes and it's like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
I had a big bottle the other day, and a kid kicked a soccer ball at it. Mm-hmm. The thing exploded. If it had water in it, it was like a bomb. It could have hit somebody. And yours is way bigger than mine.
Yeah. But like that's easier for me because like I had smaller ones, but it's like I'm changing locations so much with like training. Being at the gym, being like at in-home appointments. Like, I don't have the luxury of like when I'm in someone's house, like, hey, can you fill my water up? Like, I'm out. Like, my 30 ounces is out. So this is an easy way for me to just fill up in the morning with the sodium, a little bit of flavor. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that 40 calories is spread out from 6 a.m. to 12. So divide 40 calories by 6 hours, right? You're talking about I'm drinking 5 to 8 calories
so like
per
at
hour.
What point does your body say, oh, I see calories, I'm gonna stop fasting now? Like, it just hit me.
No, you're getting, like, that's what I'm saying. So when you put that glucose monitor on, that's what I want you to see. I want you to see what happens if I drink, even if you drink all of it, I'm gonna drink 40 calories of sugar, right? You should see how does that even put a dent in raising my blood sugar. Maybe it does for you. But for what happens with you, might not happen with me. It's just the way my body is. I know, like with me, that is not doing a single thing for my blood sugar. It's like it's just in, and by the time the hour goes by, it is gone. It is evaporated. There is nothing left, and it's maybe gonna do this to my blood sugar, but all that's important is that it doesn't get high to a point where your body gets signaled, oh, my blood sugar's too high. I need to start storing things away. Because once that happens, or once that process is too long, you're talking about going now 3 hours because your blood sugar is getting like elevated. Like you're not using fat. That's what it's about. It's getting your body to use what has stored. So that window of time, like this is what I mean. It's very black or white with you. Let's say I'm fasted in your definition. And let's just say I consume that. I'm going to entertain you and say for an hour, for 45 minutes, I'm not. Like I get some sugar.
Right.
But now it's gone.
Then you would restart
I'm
from
fasted
square
again.
one, right?
It's not square one. You think because they're speaking to a general population when they're talking
Can you
about
not
this.
point at me and say you think? Because I'm feeling some type of way about that.
You no
I don't want to enter this doubtful conversation.
No,
Just kidding.
you believe that you're getting more into the other approach of fasting, which is like autophagy and an extended period of time of your body getting nothing new and eventually killing cells in your body that you don't need and making new ones. You're aiming more at that, I feel like, when you're talking about this. I'm talking about like that's what you're trying to get at when you fast, which is not having anything. And just you think, I believe you think that it needs to be this 8 to 16 hour process. And it depends on the person. And that's what I'm saying with you now. You're getting to a point where you're leaner now. You don't have as much fat energy stored away.
I'm leaning nice.
Yeah,
you
you have to, like I told you, you're on this seesaw and you were on one end of the seesaw and you flipped and went all the way the other way. You're going to learn you have to maybe tilt that seesaw a little bit back, just a tiny bit.
Balance.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Because I'm not thinking like that because I know how blood sugar works. I've had a monitor on before. I know what happens when I eat certain things, how much I'm eating of carbs. Like, is your blood sugar going to raise because you had a spoon of rice? No, probably not. It's gonna go like this. You're going to see it on the monitor. It's going to go like that, and then it's going to stay right back. So I think that's your new science experiment.
You know what? I'm due for another device.
Yeah.
Because in 2014, I bought the Nike Fuel Band.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember how interesting and excited I was to every day track my steps, track my calories, and understand movement and understand how much you burn doing certain activities. How much am I going to burn when I ref? How much do I burn at work? So really getting deep into caloric burn and what does what. And I think I'm ready to step up and get some new metrics. Like I remember I was speaking to you about getting like genetic tests and finding a little bit more about what's going on the inside. So I'm interested in the sleep ring because I want to start measuring my sleep score. I haven't dialed that in yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'm due for another device.
It is. Yeah, I had the Whoop. Yeah, it's really good. Like I used it. I just want to say that I think it's really good that you can wake up in the morning and see, because I've connected with it, like wow, like my recovery's at 30%, and I thought I was in bed for 7 hours. I thought you could be in bed for 7 hours and have like horrible sleep. I think it also shows you the importance of that. The more active that you are, the more quality sleep that you need. So me, like when I was wearing it, I was like really active. So like even 7 hours, like my 7 hours needed to be sharp to even get at like a 70, 80%.
You got a comment there?
Even to get like a 70, 80% recovery. I also just want to say it can be a little negative on people depending on their personality of where they're at with it. You know, it can get a little stressful for people. Like, you know, you're constantly seeing at a red score. You're constantly seeing, I have 20% recovery. And it's like you're telling a guy, this is my client, I'm telling him he has to sleep better. All right, I have 1 kid now. I understand his pain now. He has 4 kids. And I'm sitting there saying that, hey, you need a really good quality 8 hours of sleep. And he has 4 different kids coming in the middle of the night, like waking him up. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there saying, no, dude, you got to get your perfect 8 hours of sleep, man. Otherwise, you're not recovering, you know? So I think the more things, the better, as long as it's not negatively stressing you out. The Whoop is good, but the Whoop is more for the active person. The one thing I didn't like about the Whoop is that I feel it's a little overzealous with how much calories it's telling you that you're burning from doing simple things sometimes. I've put it on for a lot of my workouts, rock climbing, and it thinks like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not burning that much calories. So it can start telling people they're working harder than they think, and that's going to make your score of recovery harder to get higher because it thinks you're more active and you need better sleep. So the Whoop is good. The Aura, what is it? The Aura Ring.
Aura Ring.
That's more catered for sleep. I'm just getting a little bit more into like getting away from devices like me, because I just find that it's just making me interact more with like getting up, looking at my phone as soon as I get up to see.
Cut off? Okay.
What?
No, he said the Instagram live cut off.
Oh, cool. You know what I mean? Like I'm getting up.
Take that, Corey.
I'm getting up and I'm like looking at my phone right away. You know what I mean? Like I'm getting up, looking at my phone right away at 7 o'clock in the morning to see what my recovery score. You know what I mean? Like I'm just getting into this habit of adding another thing into my life where I'm like going like this all the time. So, you know, I think it's just focusing on, you know, getting into a nice sleep routine, like no TV, like an hour before bed. I think the best remedy of recovering is shut everything off, get a book light, and read a book. I read a book at night, and like I'm usually like a night owl. I almost have like this FOMO thing of like, because I'm working all day, that like the nighttime is my time to like, and I grew up watching TV shows, playing video games. We were talking about it before. My nighttime is like, oh, I got to get everything in. I want to watch something. Oh, I want to watch another episode. And then you get like locked into watching something. You're like, next. Before you know it, it's 12:30 in the morning. And I've just, me and my wife have done things like leave the phone downstairs, and the only thing we bring in our room is just our light for our book. You want to have like a sleeping pill, read a book. Because like it's not, you're trying to read and like work in a way mentally, but you're getting tired because you are tired already, and you're not having any stimulation going on. Reading a book at night, I mean, puts me out like this. I have a TV show on. I can stay up 3 more hours than I would have went to sleep if I didn't have anything to focus on besides a book. So, yeah, maximal level of knowing what is going on is the glucose monitor on you.
Okay.
It's 24/7, and you have to replace it every 2 weeks. Yeah, your insurance might cover that for you. They might actually allow you to get it sometimes. But I did this with my father-in-law. His blood sugar got a little high. So I wanted to educate him on, you know, you can take medication or you can fix the way that you're eating. You're taking a right here or you're taking a left.
Take medicine or take nutrition.
Yeah, and he was just, you know, stressing to me, I don't want to take anything. I'm like, all right, yeah, you don't have to, but you can't just do whatever you want. You either have to do this because you don't have the luxury of doing whatever you want anymore, especially at your age, or you have to eat better. So I think you need to see what you're doing to your blood sugar, eating the way that you normally eat and snack on things. I watched him one night. It was like 9 p.m. at night. People think they're eating healthy because they're eating what? Pistachios. I calculated it.
1,000 pistachios.
Yeah, he had about...
There was 2,000 shells.
Yeah, and like...
on the floor.
And like 15... He had 3 different types of nuts. In about 20 minutes, 15 minutes watching something, so I was sitting next to him, we were watching something, I calculated he had 1,100 calories in nuts. So most of those calories were like fat. That's not really something, if you're not active, you want to be doing before bedtime. Because you're getting carbs in too.
Nuts are like my weak spot. Nuts are like my chips.
They're great. They're very
I can't
calorically
stop
dense.
eating nuts.
They're really good.
I know.
It's so like that.
I'm okay saying that too, Claudio.
No.
There's no pause button on me.
Yeah.
I'm a confident guy. Okay, I'm not insecure, and I'm appropriate. I'm speaking about appropriate things. Keep going.
No, but like where you're at with, it's like this is what I'm saying. Things should not be black and white. Whatever it is that you're doing is really working, and you're leaning up. So now, look at that. Like you're like, oh, pistachios, walnuts, cashews. They're really fatty, but it's working for you because you've changed your energy system to understand like, oh, this is, when I eat fat, this is, also how to burn it. So you want to get to a point where you're eating very calorically dense. If you can do that and your body fat is not shooting up week after week, that's the key to being optimal when you're exercising, is because you're putting calorically dense energy in you so you can perform and be active. So that's great that you can eat those things and you're not, it's not affecting you in a negative way. It's affecting you in a positive way. That's what you want.
I think I have to dial in my night routine. I know I mentioned on this podcast I eat a little late.
Yeah.
How long should I be giving myself before I go?
It's just about
horizontal?
like that nighttime rhythm, dude. Really, like after I gotta look. Huberman was talking about this. He's probably if you really want to dive into that and know the science behind what you should be doing.
Should I give it 2 hours, or because sometimes it's like
It's
30
basically
minutes
after like 7:30, 8 p.m.
Yeah,
Your
cut it
body's
off.
going into like chill mode. It's shutting off, and it's shutting off because you spent all day working. Your mind's working, looking at the phone, driving, thinking, exercising. Your body's trying to protect you. So now your immune system's going to wake up at night. So your body's trying to optimally like recover you, rest you, regenerate like brain cells. That's what's happening like when you're sleeping. That starts happening, if I'm not mistaken, around 7:30, 8 p.m. So every minute after there, you don't want to add another task, and especially too much of a task, like you're eating a lot, right? Maybe you're eating too much. You adding that in your stomach, and now it's 9:30, and you're about to go to sleep, that food's sitting in your stomach. It's not digested yet. It's trying to digest it. So your body's trying to sleep, chill out, and you have, 500 calories of food in your stomach. That's blood flow that's going to your stomach. You're asking your body to do 4 things at once now while you're trying to sleep. And you don't want to be doing anything else besides literally like you're going into like the Darth Vader regeneration chamber. That's what you should be doing from 9 p.m. to, when you wake up. Yeah.
Now, it does kind of help that I pass out on the couch in an upright position, so maybe I'm not fully like...
Yeah, you should get... These are the 2 things for you. You should get the glucose thing just so you have peace of mind on, maybe you're right with what's going on, like with intaking things and breaking fasts, right? But I want you to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, I've known this for a while, no offense, about like your sleeping routine. You should get some sort of sleeping thing. If you don't want to, try doing the things that I'm saying and track it on your own. See how you feel. Wake up every morning and just like, if you want, go on your phone or write it down. I feel a 9 out of 10 this morning. I feel a 6 out of 10 this morning. And just like go track it and be like, oh, I went to bed at this time that night. I ate like this,
Okay.
right? But getting one of those things like the ring, you need to start seeing how you're sleeping at night and recovering. Because like sleeping on the couch, upright, then getting up at 12, going to bed, you're not... You have to think you're a high-level athlete, dude, and they're not doing that. Tom Brady was in bed at 8:30 p.m. Electronics and lights and everything was off by 6:30, 7 p.m. You're talking about 2 hours of no stimulation
Bro,
before
how are we going
bed.
to put out clips if I can't do that?
That's the thing.
How are we going to grow this podcast?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In sleep mode?
Yeah. No, you're right. So that's the hard part. Like you're talking, if I'm sitting there telling someone, it's like what I was saying to my client. Yeah, you gotta have better sleep. He's like, dude, I'm working all day. I gotta answer. Like a lot of business people, dude, they're on different time zones. So when it's 11 o'clock here, they're answering emails from people that it's 7 o'clock somewhere else, 5 o'clock somewhere else, 6 o'clock somewhere else, So, and then I'm telling him, yeah, like make sure you're not being stimulated. And he's like, dude, I got to answer emails. And then I have 4 kids and 2 of them are, karate chopping me in the middle of the night, So it's, it's not easy. It's definitely, It's hard.
I was watching a video this morning, and this guy posted like killer back routine. You want to transform your back? Yeah. Your man, he said, just do 1,000 pull-ups before work. And then he shows a video at the end. He goes, and 1,000 push-ups when you get home. And I was just looking through the comments, and they were just like, oh, yeah, your boss wants to know why you only work 2 hours a day. Yeah, just do 1,000,000 pull-ups before work. The comments just had me cracking up.
Comments are really good on like certain clips like that, videos. Sometimes my wife just will like find like a good video like on TikTok, and we'll just sit there for like 2 minutes straight
a day.
and just read the comments. It's like 1,000 trolls, and the comments are like the best part of the content sometimes, and that's kind of what we harness. We harness the comments.
Oh, I got a foul and troll comment last night.
Yeah,
I tagged you in it.
I saw.
Somebody was not being friendly.
It was so crazy. I was like, I don't even feel like this is an actual person writing this comment. I feel like it was like an AI generated bot comment. That's what it felt like to me when I was reading it.
He DM'd me too. He said, clown refs, not crown refs. Watch today as a varsity crew took 10 minutes to huddle on a jump ball who got to the next possession. The official scorekeeper and opposing team bookkeeper all had it with X. Then after 10 minutes, they went with Y. Yeah. Not even team A and team B. He said X and Y. Incorrectly, as we went back and looked at the video, complete clowns. We will be exposing those wannabe refs in our state at the end of the year with pictures for the 10 worst in the state and a poll. Get ready. And this person's account, his name is Beautiful Breeds. So I said, you don't sound like a beautiful breed of a human.
Yeah, like that comment was so insane to me. It doesn't like that's just like I feel like a troll, and that's why we called it Fouls and Trolls.
And then we have people hitting my Instagram poll saying they want Fouls and Trolls back, but we gave you a little bit there, a little taste test.
We gotta give them an episode.
Do we have enough time to get into this next segment that will be a little bit of time consuming because we have to unpack, my friend? You went to a therapy session this week.
Yes.
Now, when you text me where you were going, you said, hey, I'm not available at 6 p.m. I have a therapy session. I didn't know if you were getting a massage. I didn't know if you were doing cryogenic therapy. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. But then you said, I'm going all in on mental health.
Yeah.
I said, oh, Mark has an appointment with a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Yeah. Huh?
So I want to first know why you navigated to that place and then take me through your first session so we can all learn.
All right, I'll hit you with it. It was awesome.
Great.
I don't know how to explain it. Like I walked out of it and I was like, wow, I'm like so glad I did that.
Why'd you walk into it?
Why did I do it? How do I say
And
this?
how long has it been brewing, the idea?
I've always, when you're younger, you're a little bit more inexperienced with life. You think you're invincible. You just get older and you experience, I just feel like adult time things, things that happen in life with career, you think you're going to be here and you're over here eventually after, 10 years of doing something, right? And I just feel, I want to keep evolving, not just impulsively, like if I'm home and maybe I didn't eat and I'm a little short, like I'm a little irritated.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, right. I find that for the past 8 years, dude, I'm helping people, like listening to people, what they're going through, trying to help them from my own experience. And I think you need to talk about that stuff. That's not with someone that you have a relationship. That's not a friend. That's not a wife. That's not a brother. That's a sister. It's good. You can have that. But I just think you need to be able to out loud talk about things and not worry about the reaction of people that you care about. And I think that's one of the, me and my wife have spoken about that. Like when you're saying something to someone that you love, it can be even, I do with you all the time. Hey, maybe we can work out at 4 p.m. I don't do when I say that stuff. I'm saying, I'm saying that stuff because I don't want to. I want you to be happy with me. I don't want to disappoint you. So I'm saying like I'm gonna, I rather like in my mind I'd rather be like, yeah, I'm gonna try to. We'll do it for 4:30, right? It's because I don't want to say no, sorry, I can't. So I'd rather say I'm gonna try and I'm gonna like be there. But then you say like, oh, you're overcommitted, right? So I just think it's healthy to. I see that with clients. I'm not a friend to them, especially in the beginning. And as time goes on, I'm not a friend to them. I'm not a family member. I'm not their husband. I'm not their wife, right? They have no emotional connection to me, and I think a lot of people don't feel judged by me because I have to be understanding. So I think that's why a lot of people ricochet, what they're going through with their habits, maybe their work-life stress, right? So I grew up in a, like my family didn't have a lot growing up, where they grew up, how they had to grow up. So I also had to grow up a certain way. And, I dealt with things of, feeling like I've had to be physically capable. That's kind of like why I do what I do. I'm programmed from where I come from and how I was raised, you have to be physically capable. You have to be able to defend yourself. You don't let anyone push you around. And as time goes on, I found that some of that is ego. And I want to reset that. I don't want to, and I am kind of like this now. And, you have been part of that process for me. I want to, it's advice that I give to my brother. Like he's young. He's at that age that, I'm invincible. If you're on the basketball court and someone actually does say something nasty to you and calls you a name, I want him to be at that point where like I'm at right now, that I can walk on the street and you can call me whatever you want and I don't care. Like it's not gonna, maybe I care, but like I don't need to react to it. I don't need to fight with people. I don't need to find a way to put hands on people. You know what I mean? So I wanted to, go and talk about all these things that, from growing up to where I am now, the experiences that I've had, and learn how to, just become more optimal with, myself mentally, how I communicate. Maybe you express something to me and I didn't really seem that empathetic about it. You know what I mean? And, that could be that growing up, like I have had to push emotions down with certain things that I've experienced, right? So, I'm at a point where I want to start not just focusing on my body and my strength and the way I look. I want to really like learn how to harness what's in here and what I'm feeling, like with my heart. So that's why I went, and I really, really liked it.
I love that level of accountability. The fact that you're tapping into something like as important as that, trying to really improve this aspect of your life. So tell me more about the session. What did you talk about, and what were some of your takeaways?
It was cool. Like, they and I'm glad, like, I'm sure you can get an appointment and maybe like you don't really connect with the person,
Did you do it in person?
Yeah. I wanted to do it in person. I'm like, I don't want to be on a screen. I don't connect. Like, I just really personally didn't feel like I could connect with that, with what I was going there for. I'm like, for me to like sit in my room, the office, and like on my computer talking about things that I really want to like talk about, hear advice that, maybe I'm going to be given, different perspective of how I should be looking at things. I didn't want to do that over Zoom. I wanted to like be, I think there's a difference between, that type of physical interaction, the body language, and not looking through that on a screen. So like, that's why I wanted to do that. He mentioned, like, we can always do like virtual, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to make sure I set this time aside to like come here in person. That's what I think that would work for me. And they just, it can be that, you're just having a bad day, dude, and you're going there and they'll be like, yeah, listen, we don't have to talk about X, Y, and Z serious stuff. We could just talk about how your day was. We could just talk about, I mentioned I do a podcast. He's like, hey, we can just for an hour. You want to talk about that and how that maybe that makes you happy or maybe it stresses you out, whatever. That's not what I said, that my podcast stresses me out. Yeah.
Time to quit.
Yeah, just time out.
Paul, you're fired.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying like, a version of maybe what he would say to someone or she. We can just talk about whatever you need to talk about that's going to feel like you moved forward from this, session, right? So yeah, it's really.
I want to know what the advice that they gave to you, some of the takeaways.
Like certain things, like I thought a cool one was just like a mindfulness exercise. Because one of the things I expressed, and this is something that has, affected me at home sometimes. Like I'm getting up early, like really early, and starting my day, and I'm talking to people all day long. Like, and not like I'm talking about what we're talking about in the podcast, like high level science stuff all day. Then I'm talking about, serious stuff, things that people are dealing with maybe at work or that their support system's not like really like there for them, right? I'm in a way like doing therapy. And from 4:45 in the morning, sometimes I don't get home till 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Like I'm just like boom, 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 boom all day. Like, hey, we're doing this routine today. You're going to be, you're doing this, right? So sometimes when I get home, I'm mentally like, I don't want to keep talking like a lot. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel I just come off a little like, what's the word? Antisocial maybe, right? So that's something that, has like bothered me a little bit. Just a little bit more like shorter. Sometimes I'm just
you get a little depleted emotionally because it's energy. It costs a lot of energy to interact. Interacting takes a lot of mental energy.
Yeah. So, that was one specific thing that, I wanted to like talk about. So one of the cool things that you just like do a mindfulness exercise just to maybe before you get into the house or maybe when you're like, you are home of just being present, right? Because sometimes like, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm physically seeing all day. And then I have a lot of clients that 24/7 I'm seeing, what are they eating? And I'm interacting with those people 24/7. And I'm either available or I'm not available. I'm either constantly available. I can give them the advice like, hey, you're going to tap that down a little bit. Or no, that's fine. Like, hey, you're pretty depleted. Like, have a cheat meal if you want, right? I'm doing that 24/7. So sometimes, I find it hard for me to be like, this is what I'm doing. I'm just like, I'm home now. I'm just relaxing. Maybe I'm going to cook in an hour because I'm worried about who do I need to be available for, right? So one of the things was just a mindfulness exercise. Like, what are 5 things that you hear right now? What are 5 things that you see right now? And you say 5 things. Like, I see Paul's green sweatshirt. I see his Dunkin' coffee behind him. I see his water bottle. Claudio's moving a little bit, like to my right. And, I can see myself on the screen, right? And then 4. What's 4 things that you hear? I hear the heater. I hear my laptop running. And it's just all things. By the time you get down to 1, what's one thing that you taste? Oh, I still taste the coffee in my mouth a little bit. It's just a nice little exercise to maybe just like forget about everything. And I think I've gotten to that point a little bit because I went through a period of just getting busier with my schedule. And a few things were beat up on me. I didn't have the rock climbing gym that I used to go to over here that was very accessible to me after training a certain few clients. I find that mindfulness exercise for me is exercising or doing jujitsu or rock climbing. And specifically with rock climbing, you can't think about anything else when you're climbing because you're going to lose focus and you're going to fall, whether you have a rope on or you don't. So that type of stuff is that mindfulness exercise for me. So I would say a few months back, I wasn't able to do those things that much as much. So like lately, like I've been doing jujitsu again, and like do just an hour of doing that, like being humbled like that, not thinking of anything else because you have someone who's 30 pounds heavier than
Getting
you
tossed around, right?
trying to, you know, bend your arm in a way that you don't want it to bend in, or wrap their legs around your neck.
Bend it in
You're-
the opposite way it should bend.
Yeah, you're not thinking of anything else besides surviving in that moment. So that's what I find that stuff is for me. So it was just acknowledging that, like, you know, I do need to make sure I have time for myself every day, and not just like my clients. And that's something like I really needed to, like, you know, pay attention to.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you feel great about it. You're scheduled to go for session 2 this week.
Yes, I'm locked in. Yeah.
Where are you going?
It's up in Carmel. Yeah. I wanted it like close to home, just so I'm closer. I was gonna put it like by more like where I work, but I'm like, nah, I'd rather be like just like a little closer to home, so I can like get home, or if I'm not working, I'm still close. So yeah.
What's it, about an hour session?
Yeah, it was an hour. It was awesome. I was so happy I did it. I walked out, I was like, wow, that felt great.
I look back at like growing up and hearing the word mental health, and I just feel like I was so intellectually lazy because I just always chalked it up as a crazy person, people with mental problems.
Yeah, it's you're weak. It is like you're mentally weak. You can't get through your own things on yourself. And think about, like, especially men. We're not really, in the old-fashioned way, we say that, what you just said out loud and what I'm saying out loud, we're like, oh, they're kind of weak. Like be a little stronger, right? And you know, that sucks.
They're
because-
actually at the gym.
yeah, like
They're the ones at the gym.
yeah, I know. No, it's just like, it just sucks because I know that old school era, as tough as they are, they're blocking out some of the negative remnants of going through life like that, you know, and maybe that has affected relationships. Maybe that has affected marriages and communication. And I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Like you and me, like we're talking about like quality of life. That's really what we're talking about on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's quality of life. It's not just, oh yeah, I'm married. What's the quality of that conversation when you're sitting down with each other? You know what I mean? Are you sitting down at dinner and not even like, oh, how was your day? Oh, well, how was your day? Or are you just sitting down staring at your food and watching television instead of, you know, watching your significant other or loved one and interacting with them? You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about quality of life. So we're just trying to touch on all those things, the physical stuff, the mental stuff. So I just think it wasn't cool for a while. I used to think the same thing. Oh, you go to, you know, you're talking about your things that you're going through with someone, like, oh, that means like you can't do it on your own. You know what I mean?
And we were in such a non-mindfulness era too.
Yeah.
Like I had no concept of mindset back then and mental performance and trying to own your brain. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Trying to own your brain. I heard that this week. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it makes me think of like the old school, the best way I can say it, the old school like basketball coach, the old school wrestling coach, right? Maybe old school soccer coaching, right? And it's like, no, everyone's gonna, you know, and there's a time and place for that, like that toughness. Like, hey, we're all gonna run today until someone's gonna throw up today. Like we're gonna push the envelope. But there's a way of like harnessing that toughness, you know, the healthy way. You know, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the mental approach with high level athletes, and they were talking about Tiger Woods. His dad was ruthless and vigorous to him because he said, you're about to play a sport that at this time they don't want to see an African American the face of this sport. This is a white sport. So he's like, you can't be good. You need to be greater than everyone, beyond greater than everyone. So you're gonna have to push to a point that you don't even know what I'm talking about yet. But he did one thing with Tiger that I think was so genius. And this is what I'm saying about like harnessing toughness in the right way, the healthy way. He gave him a choice. He didn't push Tiger and say, no, you have to keep doing this. No, push. I don't care that you're crying. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. He gave Tiger a choice, and he said, at any time it's too much for you, like you don't want this toughness anymore, all you got to do is just say stop.
Good
and I'll stop.
communication right there.
He gave him the choice to give the power to like Tiger Woods, because all he had to do is I can control this. Like I'm controlling this like pain a little bit. If I want it to stop, it can stop. And he never said stop to his father. So he gave him like that power, that choice. I'm not forcing you to do this.
Right.
It's up to you if you want to do it or not. And we can stop. You can go do something else. You don't want to play golf? You don't want to train like this? Go do something else. You want to study and be, a dentist? You want to be a lawyer? Go do that. That's fine. But he gave him a choice, and he never told his dad, I wanted to stop. And I just think things like that, like that's being smart. It's doing that, especially for kids. And I like to say the basketball coach, the wrestling coach, is because these are young kids and we're building habits and mental approaches, with them, and they grow up and it turns into, hey, you're not playing sports anymore. You have a family and you have a job. Where's your mental health at? Like, what are you dealing with? So I think this stuff is super important, man.
I'm interested in hearing more about it. I'm interested in you giving me more updates as you learn, week by week. So I love that we're checking that box. Shout out to you. Thank you for being transparent and sharing that with us on this podcast.
Anytime.
Anything you want to touch on before we go ahead and drop the kids off?
I just want to shout out my sister, Scarlett. She reached out to me and she's like, I want to clean everything up. Like I want to eat right. I want to feel better. And for the past 3 days, it's 2 days or 3 days, I gave her my rundown, my dialed in rundown of how this works, eating and the, cleaner ingredients and calories in, calories out, the types of macros she should be focusing on for a certain period of time, exercising. And for 3 days straight, she's sending me every single meal that she eats. And that's like,
dialed in behavior.
And it's just like completely cleaned up.
Give me a quick example.
Just like she just listened to me like, hey, like, for what you're trying to achieve, you just want to start to kind of go backwards a little bit, like with your carb intake. And you want to just like tap your protein intake up, because you weren't really doing that. You were doing the opposite. It was like a whole bunch of carbs and like low protein, right? So I told her that. Usually someone her age, I'll tell them that. And it goes through one ear and like out the other, and they don't really listen. But she's been sending me all her meals, and she's eating like steak fajita with just veggies on the side. She's eating a grilled chicken salad, with just salad. And then one meal a day, I tell her, yeah, you want like a whole bunch of quinoa, brown rice, because she's at school, so it's hard. She's got to navigate around this a little bit. You want like a snack, you're going to have a yogurt and you're going to have some guac, and you can have like 10 tortilla chips with it, just so the carbs don't get out of hand. And she's listening to everything. She's doing everything. And it's awesome. Because I think that's hard to do at her age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, she's got big bro that's supporting her, holding her down. So awesome job. Love to hear it. I really love hearing people's success stories. It's addicting. It's like my fuel. So that's what we're here doing, putting the time in, and hopefully we can impact you on your journey. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. It's been a great 7 weeks. Claudia, we're not quitting, but we're just thanking you now. The hospitality's been amazing. You've been so welcoming. You've been so kind to us. You've been so helpful. And I'm just happy that we're here. So thank you guys both.
Awesome. Me too. I'm happy.
As we wrap up today, let's focus on building real momentum in your journey by eliminating cheat meals. True progress comes when you find unwavering consistency in your meals, when you stop indulging cravings and shift your mindset from short-term flavor to long-term results. Remember, it's facts over flavor. Food is a fuel. Food is a tool to nourish and energize us, not something that should control or limit us. We need to improve our relationship with taste, breaking free from being a slave to our cravings. The beautiful part, once you commit to this and you build consistent habits, those foods you once desired start to lose their power. You no longer crave what once held you back. You find yourself turning the page and moving forward with a new sense of freedom, clarity, and control. You deserve this transformation, and it begins with choosing consistency over compromise. Let's embrace that shift together, and let's create the momentum that changes everything. Until next time, Mr. Vaccaro, I want Claudia to add like suspenseful music or something. Until next time, I love you, bro.
I love you, bro.
Thanks for love.
Thank you for listening to the Dialed In podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We want to hear from you and help you even more. So please reach out and connect with us at the dialedinpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on one of our social media accounts. And remember to stay dialed in and choose to have the most amazing rest of your day.